Picking a niche. You hear it everywhere. For you to pick one thing, stick to it over a long period of time, and then over that long period of time, you can hopefully become successful with it. But this couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could think about niching. And today I wanted to talk about those things. I want to talk about niching and perhaps maybe expand your perspective as to maybe finding your purpose and helping you find that purpose that has a means to last, because that's what this is about, right? Being able to do what you love to do for a long period of time, perhaps for the rest of your life, and then ultimately be able to have freedom to do as you want, you know, because who wants to be boxed in? We have so many different layers as humans. There's so many different things that we love, including myself. And I have found myself frustrated beyond belief with trying to figure out what this whole thing for me is, for niching, for my videos, for the things that I want to produce as a photographer, and so much more. And I figured maybe I can give you a little bit of a broader perspective on this. Hi, my name is Mikey Olexy. A little bit about me. I am a photographer, filmmaker, founder, and creative director of my creative agency, and I'm an ultra runner. And there's so many other layers to myself, which kind of brought about this whole video. And when it comes down to figuring out your niche, it is so, in my opinion, is such a complex thing, because, you know, you're told the same thing. Stick to one thing, and that's super frustrating when you love so many different things. I'm an individual that loves so many different things. I love everything from running to science to pens to filmmaking and photography, music. I'm a musician. There's so many different layers to me, and if you are somebody that's like me, that there's so many layers to you, then you understand the struggle. And to be able to create something that, in the noise that you consistently hear, to just pick one thing is really, really hard, because you want results. You want to have a place to put the stuff that you love and be able to connect with others. And if it's not being seen by other people that connect with that thing, it kind of like makes you feel discouraged and think, well, I want people to see what I'm looking to create, and the algorithm's not really helping me push that out there. So being able to find a place or find a way to do that is key. And, you know, if you are a person that likes one thing, awesome. If you're somebody who's like myself that likes multiple things, then this is for you. And going into this, we're going to dive into these 3 different ways about going about with niching. The first one everyone knows about. The second one would be a slightly different variant that a lot of people kind of get wrong. And then the third one is the overall objective of this video. So let's crack this baby open and dive a little bit deeper into how you can go about finding your niche. Now, before we get into the specifics, let's think about what exactly is a niche. A niche is simply this. It's not a big scary word. It's just a target person, target demographic, target type of, you know, group of people. You know, once you figure out exactly what your target is or who you are targeting, I know this sounds a little scary, but who you are targeting with the type of value that you're looking to provide, then it's pretty easy from there on out. And there's 3 different ways you can do this. Starting off with, pick one type of skill, interest, hobby, and just talk about that one thing and go about it in many different ways. And, you know, this is kind of like guiding somebody up the same mountain using the same trail over and over, and it gets boring. And that's where burnout really comes into play, you know. And although there is some perks, you know, you can grow faster and you're known as a specialist in a way, but you're limited and boxed in because you are taking a group of people up the same trail over and over and over. And, you know, that is where a lot of people think about, well, what can I do to really think about going in a different direction to where I could start bringing in different parts of myself. And that leads into the second way that a lot of people talk about. Going broad. And the best way that you can really think about going broad is you are the niche. A lot of people have said this all over the internet, from Dan Coe and people of the, you know, big in the personal branding world, but they don't really go into detail as you being the niche. How are you the niche? And this can be really confusing. It could be, you know, not so clear. And the first thing that you think about with you being the niche is, I have all these different interests. So let's use me as an example. I love knives and everyday carry stuff, to pens, to Lord of the Rings, to running, to science, to music, to photo and film, storytelling. There's so many different layers of me. So today I'm going to go and make a video about running. Tomorrow I'm going to make a video about filmmaking. The next day I'm going to make a bluegrass playing video. The next day I will make a video about pens. And if you really think about it, it doesn't work. It doesn't mash together. They don't complement each other. And this can really lead to some confusion for the people that are watching. And the best way I can really, put this into a perspective in a nutshell would be you are guiding somebody up a mountain, but then you go off trail. And then you kind of find another trail, then you go off trail again. And there's no objective. There's no overall summit that you're going to reach. You might reach the summit, but you might not. And this is where things kind of fall apart and not really work. And then burnout happens and you get really confused. And you're like, yep, I'm not doing this. Screw this. This isn't for me. But there's a different way that you can go about this. There's a different perspective that you could shift and pivot into, which would be, and that is the objective or the mission-based niche. And how you can think about this is you are guiding someone up the same mountain, but you're taking different trails every time. And every time that you take a different trail, it's a different perspective, a different way that you do things, a different thing that you use. As long as things intersect and they are helping you guide the specific group of people up to reach the summit, it works because you're just showcasing how you do things, what you use, what you like, and how those things help you. And those things can help other people as well. And we can also figure out how you can do this by just figuring out exactly what your mission or your overall objective is. And the best part about this approach is that you don't have to worry about sticking to the same mission forever. You're going to have so many different missions and objectives and goals along the way. And as you pivot, it's likely that other people are going to pivot with you. And those that don't, that's okay. Because you want to have a strong expedition team that has the same objectives, goals, and overall mission in mind as you do. So now that we went over different ways of niching, let's talk about your mission. How do we figure this out? What is your mission? What is the overall objective? What is the mountain that you're looking to summit? And how we can go about this is starting off with our why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you feel so deeply that you need to do this? Why is the mission so important to you? And, once you understand what this is and the clearer that you are about this, the better. So really drive in to understanding your why, like your core values. What do you value? What are hard no's for you? Why do you love your interests? And how do these things help you? And the list goes on. So that's a good place to start. If you want to know what my why is essentially, I want to help people understand that there's not just one way of doing things, to break free from the limited beliefs and the chains of being caged to there's only one way of thinking, to really understand that you can master your story and your craft and be disciplined and live to create freely and just live freely and do what you love without having anyone telling you that you can't. Like that is my why. I feel that so deeply that people should be able to do what they love and stick to that one thing and not have somebody tell them that you need to do this, that this is the only way that you could do this. Because I've been able to really achieve so many different things by doing things my way. And you could do this too. And I want to help you understand that you're not alone in feeling that way, that you can live and express and truly create to your fullest potential with full creative freedom and just freedom in general. Like I have always been that one kid that loved punk rock and country music. And I was that one punk that was in the scene that loved Hank Williams and bluegrass music, and I did things my way. I've always been the one kid that did things my way. I've always had the perspective of there's always a different way of doing things, that you don't need to be caged and stick to the script and do as everybody else, because you should be able to be your own individual. And that carried on into so many different avenues in my life, from music to photography to creating videos, all the way to me living in a van and just wanting to just travel and play music. And I didn't care, just wanted to be free. But we got to live and we got to eat. So that's what this is about. But now we like to take showers and eat and essentially create things and live in a house, and you got to pay the bills somehow. So now we're just taking that whole perspective and summiting a different mountain. But once you understand your why, the hard part's done. You know, you peel back the layer of who you are and you discover that person, and then you could then discover the person that you're like, hey man, you come along with me. We're gonna go up this said mountain together, and I'm gonna guide you along the way, because this is my perspective. This is what I have to bring to the table. And then that comes down to what are your skills? What are the tools? What are the things that are going to help you and aid you along the journey to reach the summit? And then you can explain how they do. You know, how do these things work? How are they going to help you and that person reach the summit together? And, you know, that's kind of pretty much what your overall mission is. You know, once you figure out what your north is, this is your compass. And then you just focus in on that compass and you do it over and over and over and over. And that's how you create brand. Brand is simply this. It is a thing that happens over and over that you are known for. That's all branding is. And that is what your life essence of your mission is for this. And this can be on many different types of missions that you're going along, as I said before, across the traverse of your journey. And, you know, it may seem kind of, it might be kind of discouraging, because a lot of people think, well, everyone's doing this. Everyone's talking about the same thing, but your unique approach, your unique perspective, your way of doing things is the thing that separates you from everybody else. Just like how this whole mountain analogy, this whole mountain example that I'm doing, this is the way that I understand it. So maybe it gives you a little bit of a different perspective on how you can go about it, which I'm really hoping that it has gained you a whole new perspective on this. But that's pretty much it for me today. If you want to join me and aid me on my expedition as I can help you, you can simply join a newsletter that I'm going to be posting weekly. You'll get a raw, uncut, authentic story from me, as well as a dose of wisdom that I learned from somebody along the way. And of course, you know, some community stories and whatnot. And then we're going to also have a pragmatic tool that you can apply to your workflow as to whatever you're doing. You know, something that has helped me that can also help you. And then you can also support the channel simply by destroying the like button, hitting up the comment section below, and of course, subscribing. And also do me a huge favor. Bear the summit. Catch y'all later.